and gentlemen of the viewing audience, before I begin, I just like to have you guys forgive me because I sound sick today and all that sort of stuff. But also, I'd like to welcome you all to the latest addition to my ever-growing personal computer collection. And no, the magnesium alloy casing in the case design does not fool you one bit. This is indeed, ladies and gentlemen, a Panasonic Toughbook. This particular one is a CF-52 Mk.2 from approximately 2007-2008. Now, I have to give it to the original owner. They kept this thing in immaculate condition. And let me just show you guys how little wear and tear there is on this machine. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous when you take a look at it. The keyboard is the waterproof keyboard as far as I'm aware. And there is very, very, very little wear on both the touchpad and the keyboard. I mean, there's use, don't get me wrong, it's been used, but it's not been like overused to the point of where you see shiny spots all over the place. I mean, it's in very good condition. The Centrino 2 badges and the Windows Vista badges have been taken off of this system. The speakers are up front here. There's your row of indicator LEDs, so num lock, caps lock, and scroll lock are in that area. This MP means the multi-bay activity thingy. Basically, whatever's inside this multi-bay, which I'll show in a moment, that's your activity LED. You get your hard drive access LED and your power LED. I don't know why they didn't use that symbol, but it's like they're copying IBM or Lenovo when it comes to the power logo. I have no idea why they ever used that logo before, but it's beside the point. There you can see the main branding, which is not stickered on. It's actually pressed into the plastic. Same thing with the Toughbook logo. And the palm rests are in great shape. There's no cracking. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. There's one minor cosmetic flaw, and that this one little piece right here, which I believe is just held in with a screw underneath this piece of rubber, this bit of it right here tends to stay down, but it has a broken brass threaded insert, and so you can just barely kind of wiggle it there because the amount of tension that's in the plastic casing is so high that, you know, you can't really move it that much. But that's the only minor cosmetic flaw that's inside this entire machine. Otherwise, it is essentially perfect. I mean, the latch works mint. It's just, it's so beautiful looking. Now, most of the time, whenever I go to find a Panasonic Toughbook on eBay, usually they're way overpriced and they don't come with all the componentry that you need most of the time, and I don't say that every single one of them is this way, to get them up and running right away. Now, one machine in particular that I would love to own in the Panasonic Toughbook series is a Pentium 3M model with a touchscreen. I find that those things are extremely rare, and I think they're the coolest damn things ever. But man, trying to find one with a hard drive and a caddy, maybe an optical drive and a battery, and maybe even a power supply to boot, and you're still paying $100. It's just ridiculous. Not to mention, you don't know how many hours the machine has been powered on for. And I've seen these machines hit upwards of tens of thousands of hours, or sometimes in some rare cases, hundreds of thousands of hours. No more than 200,000, of course. That's just overkill. But yeah, I mean, these things have been through hell and back. But this one, I got lucky. And this one was gently used and is in almost perfect condition. So let's go ahead and take a look at all the I/O on this machine, and then we'll go ahead and turn it on. So before I get started, I just thought I would warn you all that our cat's kind of in heat right now, and so it's being really, really annoying because we're not letting the cat go with one another, and that's as much as I'm going to go on video because I don't want this being tagged as NSFW by YouTube, so that's about as much as you're going to get. So excuse the excessive cat meowing in the background, that's what's going on. So forgive me for that. There's nothing I can do about it. So on the front, we have a headphone and microphone input jacks. Nice that they're separate. Underneath the big old metal carry handle, you get your Wi-Fi switch, as well as a little air intake. And right underneath that is your little lid catch, which is also a piece of metal. On the right-hand side of the front, we have a battery charge indicator and a power LED. And that's a dual color LED, so yellow if it's charging and green when it's done. I don't know if there's any other colors. I just know that much by, right now. Right here, I believe, is where you can access the hard drive. This has its original 160 gig hard drive. Right underneath this flap, there is the express card slot and a PC card slot, which is rather nice. They give you one of each. Underneath this flap, we have two USB 2.0 ports and a FireWire 400 port, which is rather nice of Panasonic to include. Rather like that. There's your DC input. Rather interestingly, it takes a 15.6 volt adapter, but it outputs 8 amps. So, don't know what's up with that. Kind of interesting. So, there's 2 more USB ports underneath this cover. And underneath this particular one, you know, because it has a monitor port, there's VGA. There is the cooling fan output, which is interesting because you can just take that cover off and clean the dust out. There's your the Kensington security lock. Can't really speak very clearly today. Again, my apologies. We have a 56K modem and a 10100 Ethernet jack. I think that's gigabit. I don't remember. This is a Toughbook after all. And finally, probably the most never used port on this entire machine, the 9-pin serial port. And to conclude, we have the left-hand side, which has the DVD drive and the battery, as well as a little SD card reader up above. And of course, I'm going to gently, and I mean extremely gently, lay the machine down on its side. Got the optical drive. It's very nondescript when it comes to the branding for some reason, but I guess you don't need it on a machine like this. Let's take a look at what's inside the multi-bay here. I believe it's just the one connector. Yeah, it's just the one connector. And right down there, you can just barely see it. That yellow thing is the backup battery. So yes, you would need to disassemble the machine to actually get access to the backup battery. Which is how every laptop has pretty much done it for a while. Underneath here is hidden with a security bit. I don't know why, but that's a security screw, which is stupid. And it's got a center pin inside the screw, which is annoying. So I think this contains the wireless cards and the other hardware like that. I'm not entirely sure. Right under here is your RAM. This machine takes DDR2. I believe it's 667 megahertz memory. It has 2 gigabytes in it right now. It came with 1 gig when I got it from the original owner, but I had a stick of 1 gig lying around, so I figured what the heck. So it now has 2 gigabytes of memory, which was a absolutely necessary upgrade. And just listen to the sound of this little lid catch. Oh, it's like computer heaven right there when you hear that clunk. Absolutely wonderful. So I'm gonna make me a cup of coffee and we're gonna power this computer on. Totally appropriate mug. Yeah, you wouldn't know it until I told you, but I just spent like 5 minutes clearing snot out of my nose. I mean, holy crap, I just... I'm like a snot mountain. That's exactly what I am. So maybe I'll sound a little better here on camera because I don't have to speak through a ton of snot. Anyway, this machine has a good battery, so we're going to go and power it on. We're going to go right into the setup. It did have a password. Fortunately, the original owner gave me the password, so I was able to clear it. I didn't have to disassemble the computer to clear the CMOS to have to take out the password, which was great. I didn't have to do that. So, here we are. This is the BIOS. This machine has a Core 2 Duo P8600 at 2.4 gigahertz. That is the exact same CPU as my MacBook, if I'm remembering things correctly. This might even make it a 2009 machine or something, I don't even know, but the BIOS says 2008. Has 2 gigabytes of RAM. Again, this machine originally shipped with 1 gigabyte. It has a dedicated 512 meg GPU, which is really nice. And then again, the hard drive is 160 gig AHCI. A cumulative operating time, 1,740 hours. In the land of Toughbooks, this is essentially just like a diesel engine of a computer. It's just getting broken in. Unbelievable. It's got low hours for a Panasonic Toughbook. And the sad reality is I could turn this thing right around and I could easily make $300 off this computer on eBay. Like sell it for $350 because low hours, complete functional unit in great shape, Windows 7 Pro. I mean, this machine would sell like a hotcake. It's unbelievable. But I'm keeping it because it's my first Toughbook and this is the only one I've had in ever. So yeah. So date and time are correct. And the cool thing is this has its own integrated battery charging sensors. So it allows you to save life on your battery by not overcharging it in high temperatures. But yeah, we're in normal temperature and we're not in high temperature. So it doesn't force the battery to stop charging at 80% charge or something. So we got some awesome technology in here. This actually does have the optional Bluetooth installed. if I recall correctly. Might have to install a special driver for that, but I believe this does have Bluetooth. It does have the modem, like I said. This does have Intel virtualization technology, which is built into the P8600 chip, and it does obviously have dual cores, so on and so forth. All that stuff's enabled. There's the boot orders, because this does not have its own dedicated boot menu. You have to do it through this, which does support USB booting, which is rather nice. No password. Oops. And there we go. Now the original, excuse me. Though the original partitions on the hard drive would mean you get the special option down here to repair the computer, which all it did was basically just take you into the Windows Vista repair your computer prompt without you having to press F8 for that. So yeah, anyway, we're gonna go ahead and reboot without saving changes because I didn't change anything. This does take a little while to boot. It's not exactly the quickest machine in the world, but it does get up and go after that words. This machine originally shipped with a 32-bit copy of Windows Vista Business. I have since wiped that installation away, and I put my own copy of 64-bit Windows 7 Professional. And the reason why I did that, instead of keeping the factory Windows Vista Business installation, was because it had some problems. For one thing, this Google installer was constantly coming up saying it had stopped working, which is a rather annoying error. Google Chrome didn't work. The Microsoft Office Professional Plus 2007 install kept saying that it wasn't configured for use on this operating system, which was rather odd. I had no idea what was going on with that, but that was beside the point. I was just like, I don't really like Vista anyway, especially on a machine like this. It's just too slow and kept pegging the CPU, and it just kept getting really annoying. So I just decided I would put it on, or I'd put Windows 7 on this machine, and now it has a legal activated copy of Windows 7 Professional 64-bit, and it runs okay. It's because it's only got 2 gigabytes of memory. It's not the quickest machine in the world, but it's certainly functional enough. The waterproof keyboard sure has an interesting typing feel to it, and it's something I'll have to get used to. And one thing you might have noticed, this actually has the high-resolution display panel in it. This is a 1920 by 1200 display spanning across 15 inches. And let me tell you guys, this is a gorgeous display. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's so tiny on the pixels, you can barely see the date and time. I mean, look at how tiny the start menu is compared to the rest of the display. It's so small. And no, I don't intend on turning up text scaling, because I actually kind of like having the full resolution of the display. But anyway, it's kind of funny. I actually got the stupid "sorry, but this message is important" screen when I'm updating this machine, because I only have an RTM disk of Pro Windows 7, so I had to improvise and, you know, had to go find my Windows 7 Service Pack 1 disk, which they actually made. As you can see, Windows 7 Professional. It has a 5.3 on the Windows Experience Index, and that's because the hard drive is holding the system back. If I had a faster hard drive in this system, this would easily get a 5.9 as a minimum. No. It would actually just go up to 5.5 for the graphics, because the graphics is the 5.5. And if I put more memory in, faster memory, that score would also go up as well. But the CPU got a decent 6.0, which is good. Ironically, the graphics are the best part of this system. This has a discrete GPU in it. It's not any kind of Intel GPU. Hence the high-resolution display. This has ATI Mobility Radeon HD 3650 graphics. So, not too shabby. I mean, not the best graphics, but from the time period, those are not that bad, actually. And I'm sure they could play at least a couple games without too much trouble. I wouldn't try, like, Far Cry 2 on it, because obviously, you know, that's a little taxing, but it might be capable of playing at least something. It's a DirectX 10.1 compatible GPU, by the way. But this is just a clean install of Windows 7 Pro. Nothing fancy. I have yet to determine whether or not I'm actually going to keep this install on here, but I might just do that until I get 4 gigabytes of memory, because the idle amount of memory it's using is just rather high. But I know Windows 8.1 would definitely improve upon that number, because it definitely has a lot less system resource usage on the 64-bit install. So maybe later on I might actually install Windows 8.1 64-bit on this. But I need to figure out how many of the drivers are Windows 7 compatible before I make the jump, because I know the graphics will work, But I need to figure out how many of the Panasonic utilities will actually make it over to 8.1 before I actually make the jump. Because, yikes, that memory usage is not very comforting at all. It's already hitting page file. So, yeah, it's not exactly the nicest thing to be running 64-bit, but I just did it for the peace of mind, because if I ever upgrade the memory to 4 gigabytes, I can at least take advantage of it all. But no, I've got a crap ton of updates I need to run in this system, which is no surprise. It keeps wanting me to install this Service Pack 1 update, but I already have Service Pack 1, so I have to have it checked for updates. But if I press the button... apparently they're already ready to go. Fuck it. Whatever. Feels the need to install them, and they're already downloaded. Just do it. Whatever. I don't really care. I'm not using this machine much today. I've got a bigger issue to deal with. But, excuse me. This is my bigger issue, is dealing with my sickness. Here, let me take a drink of this, because I haven't yet. Whenever you're working on a computer, make sure you have a hot drink nearby. Anyway, of course the screen's got to go blank because it needs to have a confirm. Now that's odd. That's like a Windows Vista style prompt. It's like, yes, do you want to install updates? No, I didn't want to install updates. That's totally the reason why I clicked the fucking button in the first place. Thanks a lot, Microsoft. That's totally not a Windows Vista thing. And of course it's installing other updates. Go figure. Waste of my time. Whatever. Whatever, I'll just let it do its thing. This does have Bluetooth. You can see the Bluetooth indicator there. I believe this is only Bluetooth 2.1 plus EDR. I don't think it's anything fancy. But then again, from the late 2000s, Bluetooth 2.1 was pretty much the latest thing. Oh look, now I have updates available. What the hell? Oh, okay. It took out the Service Pack 1 update. That's why it did that. Okay. Let's see. Can I get the USC prompt? No, I didn't got the USC prompt this time. Okay, whatever. I might as well keep an eye on this update. But no, I think with a memory upgrade to 4 gigabytes, this thing will make a solid laptop. And I literally mean that in the sense that it's solid as hell. And it's got nicely weighted hinges, so you can actually open and close the machine with one hand, which is rather nice. They're not too stiff, but they're just stiff enough. But man, this machine is just in amazing condition. It's just amazing. So this will definitely be staying in my computer collection, and it is going to stay here for a while to come, actually. I just need to get all the hotkey drivers installed, and this thing will be set. And it'll be running Windows 7 for at least a little while, and hopefully I can find more memory for this. I think I may or may not have some 2 gigabyte sticks of DDR2, which would most likely help out the performance of this thing a ton, because 2 gigabytes is a huge bottleneck for 64-bit, but I did it again because of the peace of mind, because I can always upgrade the memory on this thing later for ridiculously cheap, and it'll improve the performance immensely thanks to the magic of having 64-bit. Well, I think that's all I have to say for now about the Panasonic Toughbook CF-52 Mark II. I think it's a wonderful computer, and I am just delighted to have it in my collection. And I think for now, excuse me, I think for now, that'll wrap up this video. So, until next time, guys, I will see you in the next video.